What's up, guys? Today I'm going to introduce you to my buddy David's Mazda B2200 with an LS1 swap. This truck, it's been at the shop for about a year now. You'll see it in the background of a lot of our videos. It kind of hangs around. This truck has an interesting background. So I met David quite a few years back, actually. I met him getting on the interstate one day. I was driving my LS swapped 4.8 S10, and David was behind me in the Mazda, and it was a clean little drop Mazda 2200. Thought it was interesting. I hammered on the blue truck, kind of got on it a little bit, looked back in my rearview mirror, and this truck was right behind me. I'm like, damn, what's in this thing? It's not something you see that often. You see a lot of dropped B2200s, but you don't really see a lot of fast ones, at least not around these parts. We did a few pulls, goofed off, met up with David, got to talking. I found out he had an LS1 in the truck. An LS swap is not something you see regularly in a B2200. It's really rare. They don't really make any parts for these things either. So David moved off, and the truck ended up losing 4L60E. It went the way of every 4L60E. Ended up with a whole bunch of neutrals and no actual gears. So the truck sat around for about 3 years. 3 years in, David brought it to my shop and wanted me to take a look at it, see if I could put a 4L80 in it and just button up a few things. The truck was built in a hurry. A lot of things could be improved on, tweaked on, stuff like that. It's like any project. So David asked me to kind of improve some things, but at the same time, David was also kind of down about the truck, altogether. It'd been down for a while, hadn't had the time to mess with it. We all know how that goes. Hell, that's why I'm not driving my LS Soft S10 right now. Just haven't had the time to mess with it. But anyway, so he dropped it off. He kind of wanted to get rid of it, but wanted me to look at it. And just, it's up for sale if someone asks, whatever. But I didn't tell anybody it's for sale because I didn't want him to get rid of it. This truck is freaking awesome. It's a lot faster than my truck. It's really cool. I want to see it back on the road again. We have an interesting deal on this. David lives in South Texas right now. He's a good ways away. So the truck sits here, no rent or anything, and I don't charge labor on this. This is kind of a buddy deal, but also kind of repaying a favor. So David was a Marine for a lot of years. He's been overseas. He's done a lot to serve our country, to help afford us the freedom that we all enjoy to do the things that we love to do. And so to repay him, we're all pitching in effort to help build this truck, get it back together, get it running again, and make it so David can enjoy it, take his daughters out for rides at it, and just have fun with it. I didn't want to see him get rid of it. It's too cool. It's too unique. It'd be a shame to see it get torn apart. So the truck has an LS1 in it out of an F body. The engine, the transmission, the rear end, the leaf springs, and all of that, even the gas tank, was all originally in a first generation S10. The owner of that truck wrecked the truck. David bought the entire setup, put it into this Mazda. They were in kind of a time crunch to get it in there. So the truck originally had S10 leaf springs and stuff like that. The leaf springs have been converted back to the B2200 springs. The rear end's still S10. It's got a two-door Blazer gas tank, the one that sits between the frame rails. It's still in it. The LS1, like I said, was in the S10. Not sure what all was done to it. It's had a few things done. It's got a Current Performance wiring standalone harness in it right now. Shout out to Current Performance. They build some of the greatest wiring harness. I'm talking the best work, best prices. Jared, the guy who owns it, man, he knows his stuff. His crew is top notch. That's where you want to get a swap harness from. The truck will eventually be turboed down the road. So we've got a few obstacles to work around while we build this thing. It's been running a 240SX LS swap radiator, if I remember right, is what was originally in it. It's sitting in the bed back there right now. But we need to make room for the air conditioner. We want to add that back into it. It's got quick performance high mount brackets on it now, so it's got a high mount AC, high mount alternator. The truck is manual steering, so there's no power steering pump or anything like that on it. It's a real simple bracket setup. But the truck has never been run with this bracket setup, and part of the problem is the high mount AC is too close. Well, the whole front of the engine is really too close to the core support, which causes a problem in trying to fit the intake tube around that. So that's one of the hurdles we got to work around there. The biggest thing right now is putting a 4L80 in it. We have the 4L80 bolted in the truck. It's bolted to the engine. The dipstick tube is in it. The torque converter, all that stuff's in it. Lower housings on it. But I don't know if you ever tried to put a 4L80 into a B2200, but man, that is not easy. That is a tight fit. And yes, we did massage the floorboards. It kind of had happened. So working on right now is a custom transmission mount. We have to relocate the transmission mount forward underneath the tail shaft a little bit because the stock mount position falls right above the torsion bar cross member, which we don't want to cut into, we don't want to modify, so we're having to move the transmission mount forward, and then we've got to build the actual transmission cross member off of that. So it's a little complex. We'll vlog this as we go along and show you guys what we're doing. We may even make it a retailable product. I mean, we may sell these. It's a full bolt-in thing. We're trying to avoid cutting anything to make this happen. The other hurdle is we've got to get a transmission cooler in it. We've got to have the drive shaft cut down. The 4L80 yoke is sitting in the back of the transmission right now. Is put in it, but we've got to have that attached to the drive shaft. So there's a little ways to go on it. So I figured I'd document this as we go because you guys are going to see this thing sitting in the background in all of our videos. It's been hanging around the shop for a while. It's a little rough. There's a few pieces we have off of it right now while we work on it, but the truck's a little rough because it's set for 4 years. I mean, the weather has not been kind to it. The past year it's set inside my shop, so it's been at least been indoors. It's a little dusty. And the passenger side bedside is KO'd. I'll show you guys that here in a little bit. The bedside, that incident happened when David was in one of the Carolinas. Someone ran into the truck, and while I was parked out on the curb in front of his house, it knocked it like 1.5 feet over or something like that. Like, it's crazy. It KO'd that bedside. It really depressed David. I mean, you know how it is. Something big happens to your project, and it just kind of kills your motivation. Between that and the transmission going out, he was kind of burnt out on it, but, I'm a bad influence. So I kept pushing forward and wanting him to hang on to the truck and keep it alive because, I mean, it's cool. You never really see this. And it might be a little sacrilegious to the Mazda guys. It's not rotary swapped or anything like that, but it's pretty cool. There's a lot of challenges in putting an LS1 in this thing. It has a lot of room side to side in the engine bay, but it has almost no room front to back, so that poses a lot of challenges. So I'll show you guys kind of what we got going on and where we're at on it, where we're going to go with it. Alright, so here's the engine bay. The transmission wiring harness is laying up top. We haven't got that converted over yet for the 80, so it's just sitting up there out of the way. Everything's a little dusty because, as I said before, the truck's been sitting around for about 4 years. Got a little dusty. So the problems we're facing with the front accessories, this intake tube was already on the truck. It functioned before. The mass airflow sensor set about right here on it, and the filter set over in this general area here. The problem is with the quick performance high mount kit, there's no room. I mean, we could get the tube by it, but the mass airflow sensor just can't fit there. The radiator sits underneath this bar here, but it also protrudes just a little bit, so that causes a problem right here with the intake tube. So we've got to figure out how to get this intake tube past that. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to cut this bracket somewhere in this general area here, and then somewhere in this area here, and make it removable to make the engine easier to get in and out, whenever David decides to pull it and change it out for something else. But in doing that, we're also going to re-engineer this whole top bracket to give a little more room for this. The radiator cap on that 240SX swap radiator sits underneath here. That's what this weird little notch is down there. We want to make it where you can actually access it, so we're going to cut that out and build a whole new, well, this entire piece will be custom, but it'll be cut out where you can actually access that. The hood latch can't go here. With the radiator pushed into here, the condenser is going to sit here. It's not going to work. So what we're talking about doing, what we're trying to work out, is putting a dual hood latch on it. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it's something like my wife's 2013 Fusion has it, where there's a latch on this side, a latch on that side, and a Y cable that pulls both of them when you pull the hood latch release. And that way we can eliminate this assembly here, free up a lot more room, because one of the things that we have to adhere to on this truck is we can't have any external modifications. There cannot be hood pins on this truck. It would kill the style. It would give away the truck has something underneath the hood, so we don't want to do that. There's a few other little things to deal with in there. We got to hook the brake booster, vacuum line up. We're going to eliminate the solenoid. We have a power distribution block off of a second gen S10. We're going to use that for power distribution. A few little odd and end things under there that we wanted to do. But I mean, it's a challenge. Don't get me wrong. This truck has a ton of room this way. It has no room this way. I mean, this thing is difficult to work on. The gauges are not Mazda gauges. They are odometer, if I remember right. I'll show you guys that here in just a second. The inside's a bit of a mess. It's really dusty in here. There's a lot of dust in the south. Like I said, the truck's been sitting for a little while, and these stupid little spiders just love building webs on everything come springtime. That wiring down there is radio stuff. Don't worry about that. That's all random crap. These are odometer gauges. We added these little indicators for the blinkers and the check engine light and the bright light indicator. I'll show a video of that working here in a little while. The PCM and the fuse block live over there in the floorboard, which isn't really going to work out. David wants that moved for obvious reasons. That can't live in the floorboard. That's not going to work. We can't really put it under the seat or anywhere in the center console where the little radio piece sits, because there's not enough length on the harness because it wasn't ordered with the extra length. We can't put it underneath the glove box because, as you can kind of tell, there is nothing but HVAC stuff underneath there. David doesn't want it in the engine bay because eventually the truck will be turbo or twin turbo. The kick panels in these Mazdas are super thin. It can't go behind that. So we're trying to work out where to put that. That's another challenge we've got to overcome. The battery is currently behind that seat. We've got to move that, relocate it somewhere else to be able to put the rear seats back in the extended cab portion here. So B&M shifter slightly disassembled because we've been working on getting that hooked up to the 4L80. So there's a lot going on in here. It's kind of a mess, but we'll come back around to all that. The main thing is getting it clean, getting everything button back up, getting the wiring fixed. We've done a lot of wiring work behind the dash. Unfortunately, I don't have video of that. I may have some pictures of it. We've also replaced some of the HVAC control systems that have broken. One of the mechanisms is really bad about breaking in these B2200s, so that's already been replaced. So yeah, so we'll go underneath the truck and show you guys what we're working with underneath there. We'll start with the front end of the truck. This is the front cross member. We didn't build this. This was done back when the truck was originally built. It's just a square tube with a couple of pieces of angle iron welded onto it. The oil pan is the GM muscle car oil pan, which is also known as the LH8 pan or the Hummer H3 pan. Same pan, different names. So that's the pan that's on it. We've got a mock-up for something to replace this with. As you can see, the original cross member used to mount right up in this area. It's kind of center of the control arms there, and it went across here. Well, the oil pan prevents that from ever happening. That's obviously not going to work. So I'll show you guys what we've got in mind. Now, this is just cardboard template. It's not to scale. It's more to prove an idea. And the humidity down here has absolutely, killed the shape of this thing. But you'll get the general idea. So the idea is to build something to this effect out of steel and have it mount up here. Now, this will go away. This bar here will go away. This will take its place. Now, the point of, this right here is to have a mounting surface on this side and the back side of this bracket here, right here, off the frame. So that'll go there. It'll come out around the front of the oil pan. It'll also dip down, go underneath the oil pan, and that'll provide a little more structural integrity through here and out through here, and there'll be a slight angle piece in the front for a little bit of deflection to kind of protect the oil pan in the event of hitting roadkill, potholes, or whatever the other stuff is we run across down here in the south. The drain plug, there'll be a small hole drilled into that portion right there where that'll drain out. You can get to the backside to get to the plug because there is no plate. There won't be a plate on the backside. So that gives you a general rough idea of what we're planning on building to replace this bracket to kind of reinforce this area and protect the oil pan at the same time. Alright, so here's the situation with the 4L80. As you can see, this is where the stock transmission mount normally would bolt to the transmission tail shaft housing. It is setting right on the cross member. Now the transmission is sagging down right now. I don't have the jack under it supporting it, but we obviously can't mount the stock mount right there because that, it's not going to fit. One option is to cut into the torsion bar cross member, which we don't want to do in this case. So what we have is a bracket that'll come off of here, and it'll come out straight for a little ways, angle up, and bolt to the tail shaft bolt here, and the same one on the other side over there. And then we'll be able to bolt the mount right here and put it in between the transmission and this cross member. So to relocate the mount forward. Now to actually build the cross member, right there is where the original cross member went for the the stock Mazda transmission. That's also where the 4L60E mount went. Or, well, 60 crossmember went. But the 4L80 is nowhere close to fitting in that position. So what we're going to do is come off of this with plate and some round tubing, some down wall tubing, and come back to this position here in kind of a triangulated pattern off of both of these mounts, or both of these pads on the frame. And then there are two bolt holes, one here and one here. So we have a plate that'll bolt here and here, come out and down. The mount will sit on top of that, and off of this plate, we will tie into the bars that run to the factory crossmember pads on the frame. So that'll triangulate the actual crossmember, and we'll have the mount relocated forward to sit right about that area. That's what we're working on now. You guys will see some video of that thing being built, being installed. It's pretty rowdy. It got hit right there. It's pushed in quite a bit. Tell from the right angle. It got hit pretty hard. We're either going to fix this or find another bedside. Not sure which one we're going to do. That's going to be a hell of a repair right there. If we can find a bedside, we may go that route with it, but try to get that fixed. Maybe even shave the gas filler door because it's not needed. The filler neck's in the back of the truck. Bed full of spare parts. Some of the parts go to the truck. Some of the parts are just extras for stuff David has laying around. But, I mean, as you can tell, the truck's not perfect, man. It was an old work truck or something like that. I believe it belonged to David's wife's dad, so his father-in-law had the truck. And it got passed down through the family. So the truck has some heritage to it, All the more reason not to get rid of it, right? But, it's got little dings and dents and stuff. We try to do what we can. It's got little Nissan wheels on it. The truck is lowered. It's block drop in the back, torsion bar crank in the front. Not sure what the total drop is, to be honest with you. All that was done before it came to my shop. So there you have it, guys. That's the story behind the little Mazda B2200 that sits around in the background of most of our videos. We're going to do some fabrication work, some more wiring, and some tuning on it. Hopefully get it on the dyno. We're definitely going to do some sweet burnouts. We're going to show you guys the whole process. Have some fun with it. Hopefully get it back to David before too long, and David can enjoy it, keep it around, and have some fun with the truck. Keep it on the road, because I mean, how often do you see that? Like that's pretty random. So it's awesome little truck. It's really cool. Stay tuned, like, subscribe, keep up with our channel, and we'll keep you guys informed on the progress moving forward on this little thing. And stay tuned for some really awesome burnouts when we get it running and on the road again. Because the tires are old, so we've got to burn them off, right? It's the only logical thing to do.